Basically, there's a staff member who has been accused by several children. What's happening today?
In most cases, nothing happens. He keeps working. But I assure you, yes, of course, something does happen.
Okay, I'm here in front of the City Hall in Paris. And there's a protest against the incidents that were reported in the after-school program, assaults on children, on minors. So it's a small protest. We're going to go see what's going on. Tell me why you're here. A child isn't just a file passed between departments, that's true?
Absolutely. I'm here to emphasize the importance of protecting children. Something that has been swept under the rug for a very long time, far too long. And so it's time to take action. Children are not files passed between departments or hot potatoes that we toss around.
Do you think the authorities are not responding firmly enough to this problem?
Well, it's not that they're not reacting. On the one hand, yes, they're not doing anything, but on top of that, they're covering up their inaction. They even cover up for pedophiles within their own ranks, for example, like Christophe Girard, who still serves at Paris City Hall. Granted, he's no longer part of the municipal majority. Despite his involvement in the Matnef case and the accusations, there have been reactions. Whatever reactions there may have been, Paris City Hall still protects him, just like the after-school and daycare predators are.
What should be done here?
Eliminate the bad apples, but that seems logical. And then crack down on the political leaders who allowed this situation to continue.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So that's the story?
What's the story? I don't know who you are.
Vincent Lapierre. Okay, what are you doing here? Tell me.
You're working. Who is it for?
For me, an independent YouTube channel.
Nice to meet you, Dee. Well, listen, we are Me Too École. It's the collective that was created on November 20th, International Children's Rights Day. Because there are several dozen of us parents who felt like the sky had just fallen on our heads on that yes. On April 11, 2025 incidents of sexual assault, rape, abuse and humiliation occurred at a preschool in Paris, involving children as young as 2.5 and those in the middle preschool class. In Paris's 11th arrondissement, that's correct, your parents. We are parents, we are involved and so on, citizens. And then, well, actually, our lives changed that day. We thought these were isolated girls. It was a shock. We met so many people. We couldn't understand that the school actually, we trusted it. You see, we bring our children it's difficult. That is, well, they're learning to live in society and so on. We didn't think there would be authority figures like, well, either teachers or activity leaders. There are people in charge who are supposed to teach our children respect, how to work in society and so on, who could commit acts like that. And the worst part is that we found out it wasn't just isolated girls, like we thought, but actually a failing system that allowed individuals, unfortunately, to commit so many serious acts. And in fact, we opened our eyes.
So Paris trained, supervised, protected, no to omerta?
Exactly.
So we have a problem here in Paris, right?
Yes.
A serious problem?
A very serious problem that has been denounced nevertheless for many years, and then it seems it was buried. It was brought up at the Paris City Council, but never really put back on the table. And then it's speeding up because obviously some parents are starting to question their children and are discovering the horror, so it's coming out little by little. And then there are groups who are forcing the issue because, unfortunately, the politicians aren't addressing the issue. It was tried in the past, but not enough, really. At some point, you really have to go for it. I mean, we're talking about 3-year-old, 4-year-old children who have been assaulted for sure. It's unacceptable in no school, whether in Paris or anywhere in the country. So, we have to tackle this head on and stop burying our heads in the sand, so no to the omerta. Definitely, politicians, no matter their party, must include the protection of children in all their programs.
How did it actually happen in practical terms?
Honestly, for us, it was horrible. We received a message from the city hall. Voilà, extrêmement... It was extremely shocking. That is to say, you don't have any names, you don't know what happened. We're talking about serious incidents. At first, we didn't even have any details about what happened. We didn't know how many parents had filed complaints. So you find out like that the day before leaving for vacation. And they set up a public meeting for you, etc. And at that point, it's extremely difficult. It's because your parents, you want to understand really, but there nothing is being said. They don't inform you because national education and city hall reps are involved. It's complicated. We thought the national education system would take your children to school, but we didn't know. There's already a double responsibility that dilutes accountability. In reality, all before and after school care is the responsibility of city halls, that is, local authorities. And everything that has to do with running a school, and I'm talking about preschool in particular and teaching, is the responsibility of the national education system. The problem is that there isn't really any agreement between these entities. It's a human issue. There is no clear protocol. So if, for example, someone you see doesn't even know that they have to report, I mean, every civil servant under Article 40, if they witness deviant behavior, is required to make a report under Article 40 to the prosecutor. We see this isn't true. There's a clear lack of knowledge about children's rights. That's it. There is a total lack of knowledge because actually these are people who are absolutely not trained for the most part. In Paris, by digging deeper and demanding accountability, we can learn what training these people have and how long they stay. Indeed, you can see that there's total job insecurity because it's all just small bits of work and so on. When you put it all together, there is a responsibility issue. If, for example, it's at 11:55, it's during lunch in the cafeteria, it's no longer under the responsibility of the national education system, it's the city hall's responsibility, and vice versa.
Madam, why are you here? Tell me.
To support the parents who have gone through what I just found out about a few days ago, actually.
It's unbelievable, unbelievable.
I'm speechless because I knew they were capable of a lot of things, but this I wasn't expecting. Hurting children is just unbearable. Every parent should support families who have gone through this.
What outraged us the most is that we found out it wasn't just an isolated incident, that it was actually a systemic problem. Let me explain. On the other side of our street, we realized that 2 years ago, Mediapart had revealed, through a major investigation, the same kind of problem in a before and after school care program in another public school. And we saw the same talking points as what we were told in that first meeting. So during the second meeting, we questioned them by asking, what is your feedback? What have you learned? What are the procedures? And what have you improved? Because for us, unfortunately, if there is a procedure, it doesn't work. And then you get a deafening silence from the institutions. And that, as parents, whether directly or indirectly affected, because actually all parents are concerned, when we talk about just one person, it doesn't. Even abuse, there is humiliation, death threats, it's happening to several children. With several children, siblings and families involved, the cost is tremendous as families are destroyed. When you see the current surge in complaints, that's very good, and more. The complaints are multiplying, but we always end up stuck at some point because you have the three main entities, so the national education authorities, local authorities, and the public prosecutor's office, that don't actually work hand in hand to create a national protocol. And that's what we're calling for, actually. That's why we created this association. Well, sorry, a collective that's in the process of becoming an association to say, well, here it is, this is what we see, this is what we've experienced. There's a complete disconnect between what you think at the high level in the institutions and how it's applied in the schools. And that's what we're calling out.
What would the ideal system for protecting children look like?
It starts with proper hiring. So we would start by looking into whether there's a criminal record. But the problem today is that violence, whatever kind, against children or against women, very rarely leads to convictions. So these people are able to keep acting and causing harm because very few convictions are handed down. That is to say, there are a lot of trials, there are a lot of reports, but in the end, very few convictions. So only people who have been convicted are entered into these records. And we have a multitude of people who commit assaults, but who are not convicted due to lack of evidence. And from there, obviously, these people are free to continue their misdeeds. So indeed, strengthening the judicial aspect, strengthening what gets entered on criminal records. Personally, I would be in favor of that, even if not convicted, where there were strong and proven suspicions, but they didn't result in a conviction because there were still some pieces of evidence missing. Nevertheless, that there is a separate watch list that already raises a major red flag about those people. That's it, exactly. And then there needs to be something collaborative, meaning that before and after school care can't just be managed by the municipality. There need to be parents involved, meaning that we need to have members of the public involved in policy making. So that precisely the parents who are in the schools and therefore have their children in the schools can have oversight and a real voice. Which is not the case and hasn't been the case in recent years in Paris.
There's a troubling lack of transparency.
Which is very troubling and which indeed is resurfacing during the campaign. And people can say what they want, but in the end, it's the children we have to protect. There you go. So today, it's a choice for Parisians to decide where they place their trust.
You realize that just now I was still with some parents because every day we receive complaints from all over France. And I can even tell you that we're going to set up networks across France to have branches because this affects all families in all schools, whether public or private. And above all, it's not just about activity leaders. There are already schools where things are going very well with activity leaders because there is a real public commitment to having a genuine educational project with people who are trained and authorized to work with children. Because you can imagine that at first there wasn't even any initial training before starting the job. Can you believe that? We realized that now, under media pressure from the groups that were already there, and also with us coming in a bit to speed things up on April 20th, you see, we made this public through the media and so on. We also had to show that there was no clear protocol. That means even if you're a parent, you don't know who to turn to. That's the situation we found ourselves in. Looking for help, who do we reach out to? Should we go see a doctor to check our child's well-being if we're talking about sexual assault? Should we immediately file a complaint at the town hall? Should we file a complaint with the BPM, the Juvenile Protection Brigade responsible for these cases? We can also discuss the personal experiences of several dozen parents since we're directly involved in this preschool. They always pass the buck and some just say yes. Sometimes the same institution sends mixed messages. You must contact us directly. No, it's not with us. You need to go to the police station. Friends tried to file a complaint, but it was refused. Can you believe it? It does happen. So actually, we do this huge job of gathering information from the field, identifying problems, and constantly helping families. We have a contact at metooecole.org with a specific website and social media accounts because we're here to break this silence, so we help families with their issues. Actually, we're doing the work that the institutions should have done and that we would have appreciated when it happened to us.
So right now there are about 30 people max. They carried out an action. They have school bags. They put down school bags. Now, they're going to put them down. Look, they're putting the school bags in front of the town hall, actually, where they were allowed to put them, meaning not directly in front of the town hall. One more little school bag, yes?
On top of that,
School bag too, in addition.
It's possible. We'll stay on the list. Can play?
that's true.
Protect the children, not the activity leaders. I tried to interview him. Tell me, why are you here?
I'm the General Secretary of the Move Enfants Association, an organization for the protection of children.
We are survivors of childhood violence, so we've been working for years to demand a real public policy in France to protect children.
And we see that despite the reports that have been produced, the report from the Independent Commission on Incest and Violence Against Children, the CIVIS, which released a report in November 2023, that today we're still at a standstill with many cases emerging everywhere. And especially now, the Paris City Hall, it's been known for years. This isn't new.
Nothing was done?
No, nothing was done. And it's because we're applying pressure, we're occupying public spaces, we're demanding accountability. It's because we're putting pressure on them that over the past few weeks some answers have finally started coming, but they should have been common sense, they should have been put in place a long time ago. Which ones? For example, setting up a photo directory, having badges with names as well, but that's absolutely not enough considering all the cases that are coming to light, and I can tell you there are more to come. Because we know it, because parents are reaching out to us even just now, 2 minutes ago, and it's going to keep happening. And right now, at this point, it's crisis management. We have to call it what it is. Right now, they're just giving us a customer service response. It's unacceptable to respond like that. There are parents now all over who are afraid and wondering, how can I entrust my child with confidence? I mean, can you imagine? It's intolerable. So we are asking for an independent commission, for an audit by an organization independent of the city of Paris, and for an urgent action plan to be put in place. We have made proposals. Now we need to act. Quite simply, we need to act. And not just move the activity leaders when revelations are made. We need to believe the children. There must be consequences. We need to train professionals, focus on prevention, reassure parents, inform them. There are so many things to do.
There are still quite a few media outlets, it has to be said.
Yes, me?
I'm Orti's lawyer, but I'm not here to promote Lorty.
Let's protect our children. What is the justice system doing? Sorry. Hello, ma'am.
I should have protected myself and our grandchildren too.
Yeah, that's right.
I would have hoped to see more people. I think this issue, what's happening to our children, is outrageous. What did he say?
What's actually happening? Tell me.
Sexual assaults that are being covered up by the justice system. That's it.
Is that the summary?
Yes, basically that's it. And actually it ruins the lives of these little children and their whole families, the parents, the siblings. And it's just terrible. That's how I feel.
It feels like there are many assaults.
Yes, in large numbers, in various schools, different districts, institutions. And actually, it feels like it's a network and they're all covering for each other.
So is that really proven, or is it just a hypothesis in your opinion?
No, it's not a hypothesis. It's actually proven. So the topic is starting to come out, and I think we're going to dig and discover some things.
So this is very serious now.
Yes, it's serious, but well, time will tell, because I think the topic is starting to emerge. I think we're going to discover certain things.
Because right now you're saying that the system is too permissive. That is to say, concretely, there's a counselor who is reported by several children. What action is taken today against that counselor?
In most cases, nothing happens. No, but that's not possible. But I assure you it is. Of course it is. He continues to work, and when there's pressure, he's sanctioned and moved elsewhere. But of course it is.
But why?
Of course it is. And so, because when there is a complaint, the justice system is involved and they are waiting for the outcome of the ongoing procedure. Except the problem we have in France is that the justice system almost never, or very rarely, very, very rarely convicts people for assault, especially for violence against children. Only 3% of people are convicted, and in cases of incest, so within families, it's less than 1%.
Why is that? Why are so few convicted? What's the reason?
The explanation is that, in fact, there is no real will in France to eradicate violence against children. We don't have any dedicated public policy. We have nothing at all. That's the reality. It's a culture of domination. It's a culture of child sexual abuse. Because there is no justice to confront it, impunity results. And so the abuses keep going because they are not prosecuted, they're not convicted. That's it. And it's been like this for years. Wow. Well, yes, that's the reality. At least 160,000 children every year are victims of violence. That's 3 children per class, okay? So for us, it's been years. We won't give up. We'll keep going until something happens, until society wakes up. Join us to demand a culture of child protection in France. This is the fight of our lives for the children of today and tomorrow. Let them be protected.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much for what you do. Protect the children, not the hosts. Look.
I noticed you were from the far right.
That's not the case, but okay, fine. Yes, well.
You hesitated about what they're doing, but that's all.
This...
Who goes and you filmed us earlier.
That's right, it's them over there.
I really don't want to be on camera. No worries, just introduce yourself ahead of time.
Well, yes, yeah, except that's not true.
What media outlet are you with exactly?
I run a YouTube channel, Vincent Lapierre. You're going to tell me that I'm far right?
I'm actually asking myself that question.
My answer is no, but then...
It's a you're with Nemesis and company, no.
I interview them, you know, like... The media cover Nemesis's protests. Quite a few media outlets do. Why?
Well, I'm just asking.
All right. And even if... Is it forbidden?
Being far right? Well, it bothers me.
Well, it's... What do you mean by far right? Well...
I don't know, far right, you know?
What does extremist mean to you?
I don't know right now.
We don't know? Do you feel like you're facing someone extreme?
Well, maybe, I don't know.
Oh, yeah? What would I want to do that's extreme? I don't know. Ah, there you go.
I have a question.
Maybe it's defamation. Maybe it's you, the extremist.
Ah, okay.
Well, there you go. That's not pleasant.
You really turn things around.
Being called an extremist isn't pleasant. There you have it. Just remember, that's what you're doing to me.
Well, I'm asking you the question.
You sit normally. I'm asking, are you an extremist?
Well, maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
For the far right.
All right. Okay, well, that's not good. Being an extremist isn't good, sir. All right, that's it. Especially based on false ideas.
Very well.
There you go. Just don't attack anyone and things will be fine.
I didn't say anything bad to you, so you don't need to intimidate me.
No, I'm not intimidating you. You're the one trying to intimidate me. There you go.
Yes.
We're here for the kids, after all.
So what's that going to do?
Exactly. What difference will all these considerations make? The most important thing?
It's the children. You're not feeling well, are you?
Oh, not at all.
Oh, yeah.
It's just embarrassing to be labeled as a far-right extremist.
That's not true. You're not being labeled. I'm asking you questions. I'm asking. It's not. Well, I'm not there. It's you then. You go up there.
Is that okay?
No, but it doesn't make me happy.
Well, so what? I'm just asking the question, sir. You are. It's normal.
How can you tell if there's one for you? Yes, but at the same time,
Well, regarding that question, it's a different topic.
Yes, I'm telling you no.
Well, yes. I'm asking the question.
Well, I'm telling you no. Sorry, no problem.
I confided, etc. I don't want to be visible. No, of course, but you didn't. I asked who you were 3 times. Since we're in politics, I'm open to talk to everyone, of course. It's just...
But you told me to be informal? Yes, of course. Quite an atmosphere, huh?
you are, and then everyone is surprised.
There's an atmosphere. It's delinquent. They're into far-right stuff, etc. Okay. You got it? At least some of them, not all. Oh my God. How are you?
Well, I would feel better if there were a lot more people. Yeah, I'm a little sad to see that there aren't many people. I think it wasn't really spread around.
About 30 people, you know.
Yeah, well, maybe a little more, but that's without counting the journalists. But yes, we would have hoped there would be a lot more people. And I think that, yeah, maybe the media didn't talk about it enough. There's a lot of news, but this should really be at the heart of the news because what's happening is horrible. And we're discovering more and more things, more and more layers, things that have been hidden. After school activity leaders who cover for each other a bit so it doesn't get out. And now it's a bit like Me Too. All these Me Too cases, I mean, one person starts to speak up and then others feel free to talk, and we realize it's actually huge and it's very worrying as a parent, as a grandparent, as really everyone should be concerned seeing that children at such a young age aren't even safe at school. Whether it's private or public, no matter the district, no matter the background, we don't feel like our children are protected. And the justice system also means delay after delay. The case drags on, and as a result, for the families, it's horrible. They don't feel heard, and for the children and their parents, it's awful.
Are you afraid for your children?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Since those cases came out at the beginning of the year, I took my daughter out of after-school care at the end of the day. She doesn't go to snack time anymore. I've made arrangements. I'm lucky to be able to do it, but that's not the case for all families. There are families who can't do it and who, as a result, are tormented by having to. And so for those families, it's horrible. The parents, for them, it's just awful. They don't feel heard, and it's just awful. For our children, too, there's also a lot of turnover. Principals who change all the time. In my school, that's the case. My principal, she was there 1 year and 3 months, and she changed. The after-school supervisor, she was there for a few months, then she left. So actually, there's a lot of turnover, too. And people aren't trained, there's no structure. It's kind of a mess.
There's chronic disorganization here. It's massive.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lack of resources. There are a lot of things. But children are the future, their purity, their innocence. If we don't protect them, what happens to our society? What happens to our society? What happens to our society?
It affects all children from all backgrounds, but unfortunately, yes, sometimes especially the most vulnerable ones.
What do we need? What do you think is the ideal system?
These people who are full of bad intentions or sneaky motives know exactly where to go to take advantage of children.
I want to turn this horror into something positive, you know? It's too late for our children, but not for others.